Hello and welcome to the Simplify webinar series. I'm David McBee, Director of Training, and this month we're going to focus on Simplify's addressable targeting solutions and our addressable audience curation tool. Before we begin, if you're a current Simplify client and you have any questions during or after this presentation, please reach out to your Simplify account manager directly. If you're a future Simplify client, you can reach us at simply.fi or send an email to hi@simply.fi. Okay, let's get started. What is addressable targeting? Well, we define it this way. Addressable targeting allows you to reach specific households across one or more devices based on first-party CRM lists or from more than 500 offline data elements, customized using Boolean curation, all while tracking online and offline conversions. And if you think that's a lot, hang in there. I'm going to dissect and explain that in much greater detail. But first, I think it's worth mentioning that addressable targeting wasn't always defined in this way. In fact, traditional media has attempted a couple of ways to reach prospects at the household or property level. One might argue that a classic direct mail campaign is addressable targeting, and that would be true enough. Addressable targeting may also be associated with cable and satellite TV. That technology comes with some limitations associated with TV advertising. So, to be clear, that's not what we're discussing today. No, today's version of addressable targeting is able to reach any device in the household that is accessing web content or TV programming via live streaming or on demand video, both in app or in browser. And our advertisers can reach this audience with any creative unit, including display, pre-roll video, and full-length video commercials. It all starts with an address list, which more often than not is curated by Simplify using demographic and psychographic data. And if you have a list of your own, we can target that too. We start by uploading the list into our system at no charge. We then create individual geofences around the addresses on the list on their plat line IDs. We use address-level identity mapping to discover and cross-device match all GPS-enabled devices within the addresses. Then we share your ads with the prospects on their connected TVs, phones, tablets, desktops, and laptop computers. Simple enough, right? But here are some things worth pointing out. 1. I mentioned that there is no charge to upload an address list. The upload and the matching are done in-house, so there's no fees associated with matching the addresses. In fact, even when we create the targeted list, when we provide the list for the advertiser, there is no charge. Now, speaking of matching, our match rate is regularly over 95%. And if you've done any address matching in the past with other providers, you know that's around twice the average match rate. We're using verified GPS data to target the audience, not IP addresses, which are often truncated and unable to provide true precision. Some IP targeting will reach a group of homes or even whole blocks at a time rather than a specific property. This is a huge differentiator that equates to excellent accuracy. Now, we do technically use some IP information. It's for verification purposes and is used to confirm the accuracy of our GPS data, which, by the way, is very accurate. So accurate, in fact, that you could target one home on a street and not waste impressions on the home next door to the targeted address. Now, why is this accuracy so important? Well, it basically means that you are only targeting relevant households, and that means faster results, less wasted impressions and budget, and better return on ad spend. Our cross-device matching is incredibly robust. Here's a high-level look at our meta graph, which is something we've built in-house. With this, we aren't held to any single identifier, like an IP address or IDFA. We use multiple device identifiers, and frankly, this changes pretty often based on regulations and changes in the industry, and it'll continue to be modified. What should give you comfort is that we're building our graph using everything that is available to us, and we're not tied to any one identifier. So as privacy regulations change, we're going to stay out front with our technology so that we can continue to target a relevant audience. Addressable targeting is sometimes referred to as demographic targeting. Unlike site, search, and keyword targeting that depend on online behavior, we use our addressable audience curation tool to create an address list to target based on offline demographic and interest-based data. Of course, a lot of providers have access to offline demographic data. What makes our technology special is the way that we handle the data and create the lists. And I'll share that with you shortly. But first, let's talk about where the data comes from and then take a look at the kind of data, aka the kinds of audiences we can reach using this tactic. The financial information we have access to comes from actual offline financial and insurance information on nearly every market active consumer in the country. Modeled income data is built from a proprietary compilation of data sources plus a unique view of income based on consumer spending and payment behavior. Our demographic data is multi-sourced from a combination of public and private sources, self-reported and modeled data. We have some in the market for categories, and these come from trended data over multiple years like spending, card utilization shifts, payment ratios, duration of balances, and directional changes in balances that provide signals that predict when consumers may be in the market for something. Property data comes from the county recorder, deed, assessor offices, and other public record data sources on over 150 million properties. Or said another way, we have data on nearly every credit application, every mortgage, every auto loan, and nearly every credit card purchase, plus multi-sourced, publicly available data on individuals. Next, I'm going to walk you through the addressable audience curation tool to illustrate all of its capabilities. Now, to our managed service clients, this is a behind-the-scenes look at how Simplify builds audiences on your behalf. You won't have to learn to use this tool to create the audiences on your own. Simplify will take care of it for you. For you self-service clients, you will have access to this same interface, and you can build audiences in the exact same way that our team can. Let's begin by creating an audience that we hear advertisers ask for pretty regularly. How about married women with a household income over $100,000? Surely you can think of an advertiser or two that would like to target an audience like that, right? We start in our top menu under Audiences and click on Addressables. Next, we will click Add Audience. This is the same place to go to upload lists, but in this case, we'll click Address Curation since we need to discover the addresses of our chosen audience. First, we need to give the audience a name. I'm going to call them 100K Wives. Next, we need to choose the location we want to target. Here in my hometown of Kansas City, advertisers like to target Johnson County because it is considered one of the wealthy sections of the city. You can type in each zip code easily enough, or you can create a CSV file of zip codes and then copy-paste them right here. Now we have our target geography of Johnson County. The map will begin loading with bubbles showcasing an estimate of how many addresses qualify and where they are located. We're going to hit the plus button next to residential targeting, and from here we'll choose the specific targets. To begin, we will go to the gender section. We're going to choose female present. Now, the reason behind this jargon is because this tool targets households and not individual users. So what we know about the house is that there is a female present. Underneath gender is marital status, so we check the box next to married. Now we need to add in the household income filter, so we switch to consumer finance. From here, there's an estimated household income choice. I'm going to check all of the boxes above 100,000. We now have an audience to target. As you can see, there are a ton of options in here. You could keep adding on different layers of targeting until you have a list of every married affluent woman in Johnson County who has 2 children, a cat, a motorcycle, was an avid reader, likes basketball, listens to Christian music, went to college, and smokes cigars. Once we've put all your targeting in place, we click Generate Audience so that the audience can now be used for targeting within the Simplify platform. For our second example, I'm going to show you how the property targeting works. An easy example is to find every car dealer in Kansas City, something that we could have done in the past, but which would have taken a ton of research and time to build out manually. Just as we did in the previous example, we click Add Audience and then Address Curation. I'm just going to call this audience KC Auto Dealers. My geography is the Kansas City Metro. In order to select the property targeting, I will click the plus button next to Property Targeting. From here, we have a list of various property designations. You can target only certain kinds of residential properties, such as apartments. Under the recreation section, you can see different breakouts, such as golf courses. For our example, we are going to go to the commercial section. Under this section, there are quite a few breakouts, so we will utilize the search bar to filter by typing in auto. From the filtered results, we will select auto sales. Usually, a similar audience is auto repair, so let's add that in as well and hit save. Now we're looking at all auto dealers and repair shops within Kansas City. And that's your behind the scenes look at the addressable audience curation tool. Before we proceed, I want to tell you what Simplify's Chief Technology Officer, Paul Harrison, has to say about PII, or Personally Identifiable Information. When I asked him about PII, Paul gave me an in-depth explanation about the quality of our data, the way that plat IDs are totally generic, meaning they aren't associated with any person's name or actual address information, and a list of ways that Simplify protects privacy using third-party companies like TrustArc and Venable. He also reminded me that we're compliant with the California Consumer Privacy Act and that we have a full-time data protection officer on our payroll. Basically, he told me that Simplify is 100% dedicated to protecting user privacy, and we do that by never connecting any personal attributes to individual names or addresses. A generic plat ID is used as a layer of protection that even if we were hacked by an alien supercomputer, the privacy of individual households would still be safe. Let's take a moment to discuss attribution, because this part of the technology is very special. Simplify's CEO, Frost Prelo, likes to say that advertisers come to us for the targeting, but stay for the attribution. We can measure both online and offline results of an addressable audience, and here's how we do that. To measure online attribution, we place a pixel, which is a brief snippet of code, on your website. Where we place the pixel and how many pixels we place depends on your goals. Let's say you just want to measure website traffic generated by the people to whom we delivered your ads. In that case, we'd place a universal pixel in the header or footer of your website to track view-through conversions. Or perhaps you want to measure some online purchase behavior or a form completion. In both cases, we can have the pixel track the thank you page associated with the form or the purchase. When a person clicks your ad and visits your site, the pixel will fire and we will be able to report that the visit came from a person that we targeted with your ads. Now you may be wondering if the prospect has to click on an ad for us to track it, and you may be wondering how we could possibly measure that visit if we delivered a CTV ad to the prospect, which of course isn't clickable. This is where we leverage the cross-device graph. If a website visit comes from a computer in the same home as the CTV where we delivered the ad, even if we didn't also deliver an ad on that particular computer, because it is matched to the CTV where we delivered your ad, we are able to report the visit from the same household. The person using the laptop doesn't have to surf the web until they are delivered an ad so that they can click it. Rather, they can use Google to find their way to your website, or they can just type your URL into the browser and visit your site. No matter how they get to your site, we can see that the visit came from a cross-device matched device in the same home where we delivered the ad. The process for offline attribution is similar. If you have a physical location you want customers to visit, we'll set up a geofence around your store. We call this a conversion zone. Then, when the GPS-enabled smartphone that is part of the target household comes into your store, we'll be able to track that visit and tie it back to your campaign as foot traffic conversions. Of course, this works with CTV too. When an ad is delivered on the big screen in the target household, and then the smartphone that is cross-device matched to that CTV comes into your store, we now have evidence that a prospect to whom you delivered your ad actually came to your location. Not only that, but we are able to report down to the ZIP+4 level where the conversions come from. Why ZIP+4, you may ask? Well, it's just another way that Simplify is protecting users' privacy. Still, ZIP+4 reporting means that you'll be able to tell what areas of the city, what neighborhoods, even what areas within the neighborhoods that you're getting your customers from. The reporting is truly remarkable. The store-level reporting can be provided for one location or thousands. And not only do we measure the campaign converters, we also measure the organic or natural converters in order to provide evidence of lift. We report the difference between new and repeat visitors. These are true conversions based on devices that actually visit your website and or your store. These are not estimates based on a panel. These are not measurements of devices within a certain radius of your store. These are true one-to-one conversions using an extensive and robust cross-device graph and highly accurate GPS-enabled geofences. And there is no minimum spend, and we can even support some third-party tags. Here's another cool feature in the addressable audience curation tool. Instead of targeting everyone inside the fences we create, you'll be able to choose to target those who are frequent or infrequent visitors to the location. Allow me to explain that in a little more detail. Based on an algorithm that looks at frequency of visits, we discover the two locations where we see devices the most. We believe this information allows us to tell where a person lives and where they work, or in the case of students, where they live and where they go to school. So how could we use this new feature? Well, let's say you're a restaurant and you want to target competitive restaurants. When you choose the infrequent option, we should be able to filter out the employees of the competitive restaurants. Let's say you are targeting your CRM list and you only want to reach the people who actually live in the homes you're targeting. Choosing frequent allows us to filter out mailmen, DoorDashers, friends, and other people who are visiting. In the UI example I provided earlier, we chose to target every car dealership and car repair location in Kansas City. Well, if you're trying to win business from your competitors, you'll want to target only the infrequent visitors of those locations, basically the customers. If by chance you're trying to recruit maybe the salespeople or mechanics at those locations, well, you could use that same list and target the frequent visitors, and only the employees would be delivered your ads. Again, this feature is made possible thanks to our algorithm that finds the two locations where we see the device the most, and those are considered the device's frequent locations. Everywhere else the device goes is considered an infrequent visit. So the guy who lives in one place, works in another, and then spends a lot of time at his local pub, for example, well, he's still going to be considered an infrequent visitor at the pub. I mean, that is unless he's spending more time there than he is at home or work. Let's talk about some applications of the technology by exploring some sample audiences. Now, these are actual audiences that we built for RFPs and live campaigns on the Simplify platform. It's my hope that by sharing these with you, it'll inspire you to think about how you or your advertiser could create a relevant audience using the addressable audience curation tool. Here's an audience we built for a client that wanted to reach Spanish-speaking families in Orlando, Florida. We curated a list for them of homes that included adults ages 18 to 54 with children present and they speak Spanish. We were able to discover over 65,000 households in Orlando that fit those criteria. Here's an audience we built for a B2B client that wanted to get their product in front of the employees of supermarkets, food stores, and produce markets. By targeting only the frequent visitors of these locations, we're ensuring that the ads are only delivered to the 16,000 devices of employees who work at these 343 stores. Consider how difficult B2B advertising is. Think about how targeting only the employees of a location could be beneficial to your B2B advertisers. Here are some audiences we created for a software company that wanted to reach C-level executives across the United States in retail, manufacturing, and transportation. We are building individual geofences that target these executives in a way that was previously impossible. What an interesting and clever way to reach this niche target audience. These audiences were built for a health marketing company that wanted to reach doctors and nurses with one message and healthy moms with another. These are the numbers of households we found in the Chicago DMA that fit their criteria. Let's talk automotive for a moment because we have some great data that helps inform our automotive audience targeting. Let's say that you're General Motors and you want to reach an audience of people who have shown enthusiasm for or currently drive one of your products. Or maybe you're Ford and you want to target your competitors' customers. Here's what the GMC enthusiast and driver/new car buyer audience counts look like. Or maybe you want to go a little higher in the funnel and you want to promote your new electric vehicle. Here are a couple of audiences that fit those criteria. Or we can target folks whose lease is about to expire or they are in the market for an auto loan. As you can see, several ways to leverage the data to create just about any kind of audience an advertiser is looking for. Before I let you go, here's a recap of what makes addressable targeting here at Simplify so special. Using integrated Boolean functions, the Simplify platform enables real-time addressable audience building from nationwide to a single zip code. We can onboard first-party address data, regularly exceeding a 95% match rate. We can curate an address list based on demographics, income, financial data, interests, land use data, and more at no additional fee. We allow you to target specific property types, including homes, apartments, condos, etc. You can target states, congressional districts, cities, and zip codes. We have recency and frequency filtering that allows you to choose how quickly, how often, and for how long your prospects are delivered ads. We can also filter targeting between residents, visitors, employees, and customers. You can leverage display and/or video to reach prospects on connected TVs, mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and desktop computers. And finally, we can measure both online and offline attribution and even provide lift reporting that compares campaign converters to natural converters. Overall, addressable targeting provides you and your advertisers a very powerful way to deliver your message to a relevant audience at the household level with great targeting, precision, and attribution. Before I let you go back to your day, I'd just like to share this one final slide with you. Today, we spent a lot of time talking about addressable targeting, and I would be remiss to not also share many of the other targeting tactics that Simplify offers. So here's a quick peek at our behavioral and location targeting tactics like keyword search and contextual targeting and geofencing. When combined with the addressable solution we just discussed, you're able to reach prospects at every level of the purchase funnel. Thank you for your time today. If you'd like to learn more about addressable targeting or any of the Simplify solutions, please reach out to your Simplify account manager, visit simply.fi, or send an email to hi@simply.fi. I'm David McBee, and I'll see you next time.